Hey trainers, welcome back to Pokemon Deck Check. I would be Poke Dad. And we're without the Dance Bear. So let's do this. I got you guys and gals. So last night on stream we featured Excadrill a little bit. We built it from scratch. Played a good game. It went well the first game. Second game, it just kind of, I don't know whether it was because it went second or I was able to put enough pressure on it that it struggled, but either way, it struggled game two. So we went in, we really talked about what we like about the deck, what we don't, and the Dancing Bear says that the deck basically comes down to your Diancie Prism Star. That's what it comes down to. If your opponent targets down the Diancie Prism Star, then you're going to struggle because the numbers don't add up properly. And that's what happened in game two. But we can go through the list here and talk about our concerns and the build right now versus if we're not satisfied with this, what we would be looking to go to next. But we have tried this list and it did work better than the other, and that's why we're kind of showing it off here. So 4 line, obviously, and then 3 Dedenne, 2 Phione, 1 Ditto, and 1 Diancie Prism Star. So if you're not aware, the Excadrill does 30 and then 150 more if you have 3 or fewer cards left in your deck. So you kind of want to mill yourself down as quick as possible, and then you can start hitting for just a clean 180 every time. The other attack you're normally going to use is 1 fighting, 120, and then you discard the top 4 cards of your deck. So you can kind of see how the two attacks are pretty well synchronized there. So 120, and then you got the Diancie, so 140. So right away, right there, you're in 2-shot range without a stadium or anything like that. So 140, 140, you're hitting 280. Knocking out Mewtwo Mew, knocking out Charizard, knocking out Zekrom, Reshiram. So you're looking really, really good as long as you have the Diancie. But when you don't have Diancie and you hit for 120, and then maybe you have the stadium, you hit for 130, then your stadium gets bumped, and then you can't find another stadium, then you hit for just another 120, so that's 250. You don't want to be 3-shotting your 3 prize, the 3 prize, blah, blah, blah. You do not want to be 3-hit KOing a Tag Team GX Pokemon. You want to 2-hit KO them, that way you stay up. You do not want to be even with a Tag Team GX deck, if that makes any sense whatsoever. I delivered that terribly, but hopefully y'all are smart enough to know what I'm talking about. So the deck hinges on either Diancie or the Stadium. And more so on Diancie than the Stadium because maybe you're at even prizes, and so it only gives you the buff of 10 damage. So that's not a for sure way. Yeah, the numbers add up if they KO you, and then it activates to get 40 more damage, so you're at 160. So yeah, the numbers work like that, but it's just easier if you have the Diancie. So not stadium dependent, because you are milling and going through your deck super quick. And if you have a bunch of them in your hand, they're just dead. And then you might end up discarding with the Dedenne GX or something. So, anywho, Dedenne is super important because there's not a lot of search options for your drillbers to get them out, or Ditto or Diancie, so you have to basically draw into them. Same with your Phione. Phione has the ability where you can put it on the bottom of your deck, and if you do, your opponent brings up a Pokemon from the bench to the active. So it's definitely useful if your opponent has something weakened, or there's something that you want that maybe is not powered up on the bench. So it definitely has value, and it keeps you from decking out when you can just use that every turn. So Super good. And then, of course, Ditto. Need to play Ditto. So you have 5 options for basic. Sorry, I feel like I rambled there for a while, but it's a new deck. A lot of information. So forms of search were extremely limited, and that's probably what's holding the fighting decks back the most is the search options. So we've got 4 Poke Comp, 3 Cherish Ball, 4 Acrobike, 4 Lana, Fishing Poles, 3 Giant Bombs, 2 Poke Gears, and an Escape Board. Dancing Bear loves the Escape Board. I'm not sure about it, but you can get it back with the Fishing Pole. So that was kind of his reason. He's like, I just play one and we always get it back. So not fully sold on the Escape Board, but everything else I'm pretty solid with. Only 3. The originalists had 4. They were getting clumped. So and you can always get it back with the Fishing Pole. So like I said, the forms of search, these are strictly for the Dene. These are strictly for everything else. And that's asking a lot. I mean, you're needing to really draw into what you need. So this deck has to run hot right now with the search options that we have available. I will be discussing other options here in a sec. But I think everything else is pretty well standard. I mean, obviously you're trying to thin, so Acrobike is super awesome in a deck like this. Poke Gears, that's more thinning, plus you don't get stuck without a supporter. So, oh, and let me cover the Fishing Pole. You may not be aware, new card. You can grab a Pokemon and an item. Or a tool card. I think it's a Pokemon and a tool card and shuffle them back in. So, not just any item. It's got to be a tool card. Okay, so trainer or supporters. We've got Clay or Cole. It's one of the 2. 3 Hapu. 3 Brock. New Edition. 3 Roses. New Edition. Erica's Hospitality. So Cole, look at the top 7. Put all item cards in your hand. Discard the rest. So super great for thinning. Hapu, same thing, great for thinning. Look at the top 6, put 2 in your hand, discard the rest. So you're just speeding through your deck. You have to run a heavy count of Brock Grit because of you're only putting items in your hand, and then you might be discarding other stuff that you need, energy or whatnot. So you have to run a heavy line of Brock. If you just run 1 or 2, what if it's prized, or what if you have to discard it and you don't really want to with one of these 2? So I mean, it's smart to have 3. Rosa, new card. It's like teammates. Once if your active Pokemon is knocked out, or I believe if any Pokemon's knocked out, then you can play this card and search your deck for a Pokemon, a trainer card, and a basic energy. So this is going to help you streamline your attackers. And it has already been pretty valuable, pretty clutch in the other 2 games that we used her in. So we definitely like the Roses. Erica's Hospitality, it's a nice one of tech that can get you more cards than Lily. Okay? So it's just a good option because a lot of the times with this deck, you're down to just 2 or 3 cards, and Lily would only get you like 3, but Erica's Hospitality could get you, it could get you 5 or even 6. So, like that, I like the Erica, and it's just a one-of tech, so it could eventually go up, but right now we like her. Now, let's talk about the deck's biggest weakness, and that's setup. The setup is the biggest weakness of the deck. And so we've thought about kind of retooling this to play Professor Oak's setting, because what Professor Oak's setting could do for us is it could get a Drillbur, Ditto, and Diancie. You have to put them straight on the bench, but it could grab those three. And then hopefully you have Cherish Ball where you can Dedenne to get some more draw support. So we've thought about doing that, but that doesn't seem as strong as going through 7 cards, doing Dedenne for another 6. So now that's 13 cards less out of our deck. So I'm not sure the correct balance if Professor Oak's setting, and you could play a Zeb Striker with Professor Oak's setting also, to where you get like Blitzel instead of Ditto or something. So I mean that could be an option. So we're definitely kind of think outside of the box on ways to help set up, and Professor Oak's setting might be the way to go. So let us know in the comments what you think about Professor Oak's setting in a deck like this. I think you would have to completely rebuild it if you went that route. So keep that in mind. But yeah, that's our supporters. I know this video is taking a long time, but it's a new deck and it's actually a lot of fun to play. But the Dancing Bear actually, I'll tell you here in a second. For Stadium, we just 4 martial arts dojos. I mean, there's no reason not to play it. Try to hit the numbers, the correct numbers to get the 270 KO. So, and then for energy, might seem low, but we have 7. And you never really have problems finding energy. You've got Roses also to grab an energy. You got Brocks to shuffle them back in. There's no reason to play a whole bunch of energy. And the more we play the deck, we're more thinking like you could probably cut it down to just 6. But to be on the safe side, we have 7. So, all right. So now on to what the Dancing Bear says. Because I have yet to get to play it, folks. I almost never get to play the new stuff. Dancing Bear always gets to play it. He says it's a lot of fun, number 1, but it's very difficult to play. And I asked him, well, compare it to Gramble. Is it more difficult to play than Gramble or easier? And he said it's more difficult because of the numbers. The way you have to manipulate the numbers is more difficult than like a Gramble style deck. So Martial Arts Dojo might actually not be the best way to play this deck. Shrine of Punishment may be the way to go, just so you can for sure get that damage onto a multitude of targets, if that makes sense. You know, Dojo's just going to there and now, but the Shrine is going to set up knockouts on everything else. So a lot going on with the deck. He says it's difficult because of the numbers, but it's super fun to play. So take that for what you will, and let me know in the comments what you think about Shrine and what you think about Professor Oak's setting. If you think that would be more efficient, it definitely would as far as setting up your board, but you're going to lose speed. But maybe you don't focus on the first attack with this kind of deck. Maybe you just focus on the for sure 120 hit with the fighting. So, but yeah, that's it. It's a lot of fun. Difficult to play number-wise, but yeah, try it out. Let us know. And until next time, be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes.